There it is. It's working.
Okay, it is my pleasure to call to order the June 6th meeting of the Delaware County Conservation District. Thanks for attending. First, we will have an approval of the minutes. I hope everybody read them. And going to offer either.
The minutes from April 4th.
I know, I didn't.
We didn't have a quorum at the last
We
meeting.
didn't have a quorum, so we didn't even discuss.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 4th,
Okay,
2023.
okay, good. All
Second.
in favor?
All right.
Aye.
All righty. Did we receive any audience comments?
No, we did not get any emails, but it was posted on Friday on the agenda on the website.
Okay, good. Now I'm really calling to order after what I was doing before. So now it says go order. Okay, so the correspondence and announcements, the PACD monthly report is included in here. And any serious highlights? It looked like it was not really preparing forest buffer program.
No, we did, the PACD is having a training session
Mhm.
on their meadow to lawn conversion program. So we signed up for that. We're trying to get some people from the Parks Department to come sit in on it here too. So,
I mean, more lawn to meadow.
yeah.
We
Lawn
don't
to
want to
meadow.
go the other way.
Sorry, lawn to meadow. And they were trying to get the Parks Department involved.
Excellent.
So we can get them, because they're doing some of that work, but we need to get it down to the weed whacker level.
Exactly. I've noticed as I've been driving through Chester County too, that a lot of people are letting the big estates are letting large swaths. Hey, Steve. Letting large swaths just go to sleep, which is wonderful. In my estimation. I'm sure that my neighbors don't like that idea. But they do.
Last week, the Parks Department submitted a grant application for like $2.9 million for reforestation, or forest care
Oh, excellent, excellent.
in Justice 40 communities, so down in Upland and I don't-
And Park and they have another one that they talked about.
Little Flower.
Yep. Little Flower.
Oh, good.
So
That'll be wonderful.
ultimate learner.
Right, exactly. Buffer where you really need it. Right, excellent. So any other things in the PACG monthly, anything you want to bring our attention to?
No, that was the only.
Okay, all righty. I will now entertain a motion request to file all bank statements. Do we do it as a month?
We just, yeah, for the,
Affiliate fund money market? Very well.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the affiliate fund checking.
I make the motion.
Second.
It's really- I like to get it ready, Randy, do well. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Okay. Clean water fund money market.
Make a motion to file the audit.
Thank you.
Second.
Who said second? Wait,
Yes.
okay. I keep track of these things. I'm busy. Petty cash account checking. Oh, this is the invasive species training. Interesting. Okay, I will entertain another motion on this one.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
And the low volume road program. Also,
and just so the board's aware, we will be needing to set up another account for the agricultural conservation and assistance program.
excellent,
That $50,000 should be being wired to us this month or so.
exciting. Funny.
If we can find the applicants to want to be able to spend it on the best management practices on their farm to improve. So we're working with Chester County. We had a meeting today to go over some of the outreach that we're going to be working on. So
Okay, we didn't get any votes on the, any motion on the low volume road.
Make the motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, a motion request to file all bank statements for order for the month of March is provided in last month's agenda, which we didn't have anybody to read, but we didn't know which one.
I'll move for approval of those.
Okay,
It's
all in favor?
Aye.
Very big list. I think this is the biggest ever we had.
No, it's not. Everybody used to have it. Okay, another motion request to approve of a proposal with IMR Digital, KDI, be sponsored from the Conservation District Allocation Program. So,
We have a total of $67,000. There's a couple other parts to this, and you'll see in the next phase, the next two motions all round in. But this one is the one that went through county council. We told them about it, working with IT to find a consultant that could do this work they were comfortable with. This company has done work with the health department, and they've also done work with the housing department. So the IT would recommend that they would use them. So we've had a few meetings trying to get this set up. This grant here is for the scanning. He reached out to us just recently to start scheduling a date to come pick up the boxes and start that process.
big movement.
That'll be a big movement, and I want to go through them a little bit, make sure we got all the
What are you
records.
gonna do with all the extra space?
That'll be up to how we're gonna move forward with our budget and stuff and see how we need to do it. I know we're a little tight now, because we have a summer intern. I didn't.
Right, yes, we do. I figured she was someone.
Holly Warner, and she had, the personnel helped us out a lot at the last moment there because our budget was sort of behind because they cut money out of our budget for the intern. And we got it back in, and Holly was one of our, worked on when she was at Pencrest, was on the environmental team.
We don't recommend it.
You pulled up the picture.
It's really nice to meet you. Yes, and thanks for being our intern. Everybody make good use of it. And then if she comes back later, you just gotta do this. Okay, thanks.
So we've already sort of approved that. We just want to get an official motion request to move on with that. There's certainly no money needed to be made up at this time. We'll have to, that'll be towards the end. And once they pick up, they're going to do it in two phases. First, they're going to pick up the boxes, and then we're going to wait until we get those back. And then we're going to have to start compounding the file cabinets to get all those emptied out and put in the boxes, and that those could be done at two different levels. We probably will have to pay a portion of this in the midpoint.
Right. But it's like a dream come true.
Yes, we did start looking over it a little bit. Now we got to coordinate with IT to get them and the consultant together so they can install some of the software on our computers. So it would work.
So it's a work in progress.
It's all cloud based, so we won't be taking up any additional storage, and it should work faster than our existing database.
Yeah.
You can work from home.
Yeah.
Yes, if possible. Well, we've already been trying to do that when we had to for certain things like electrical outages and water outages and while doing the construction here at the park.
Oh.
And then also COVID hit, we learned how to do that effectively.
The reading tablets.
Mhm.
We're learning ahead of time. Okay, so I will entertain a motion request for this. This is.
Oh, sorry, motion and
Okay,
officially.
A
thanks.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, another approval to purchase software, DocuWare, as part of the proposal with IMR, as previously stated, IMR.
Yeah,
Need a motion.
second. This will be an annual fee that that'll be charged with the maintaining the seat license for these the software. And basically there's going to be 5 copies of it made for everybody but the parent. So anyhow,
I think 50 gigabytes enough.
I don't know. I talked to, we talked about that at the meeting, and John Beck had agreed that that was enough, and I said, well, what would it be for more? And he quoted off some prices and John Beck said that was reasonable, so. So it could increase more once we use more, yeah.
Right. Right, so it's not, this isn't the end.
It'll be what the board decides to do, because I'm a storage hog. I like to keep information. I like to have it available, even though technically after a permit's been closed, we can, notice of termination's been received, we can send it off to the regional office and no longer have to keep it stored. But every time we seem to do that, we get a request for that information.
Okay.
He was doing both. He was online.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a decision we can make. We can actually transfer the records over to the state, and that'll meet our records management problem once they have a completed NOT, so we can clean it out too as we go along.
Right. But it is interesting that all of a sudden, when you think you've gotten rid of something, then you need to look at it again.
Yeah. And it's not, it's because somebody has a complaint or somebody trying to fix a drainage problem.
Right, or remember what happened the
Yeah.
last time.
Mhm.
Right, so excellent. This be good. Thanks. Okay, next up is another thing having to do with IMR Digital, and this is for 3,600. This is the electronic plan.
Yeah, this is the part of the program to make sure that doesn't happen to us again with us. This is he's taken our application form and sort of making it into an electronic submission form and a way for applicants to submit all the files electronically to us. And then we would, they would move over to data. They wouldn't have access to it, but we would have access to it and we could review it online like we intended to do with the e-permitting program.
Right.
But you'll see later today that the e-permit's been around for a couple of years now, and we've had one application. The regulated community is reluctant to adopt it, and there's been some glitches, and it lengthens the time.
Right.
So
Instead of making it streamlined.
yeah,
it's doing-
it's made it a little harder, so that's why the reluctance. Some regions are doing a lot better with it than our region is. So I'm hopeful that it'll pick up here.
Right.
And once they're gonna eventually turn off the part that you can submit paper copies. And once they do that, you're gonna be forced.
Right.
But I've asked about, at our regional roundtable meetings, I've asked about whether or not we should sort of try to promote it. And even the regional office at this point isn't ready to promote it because they can't handle it.
Yeah. They have to kind of wait till they come to you.
Fix all the glitches and then they'll probably be able
Right.
to.
Alrighty, so I'll do a motion request for that one. The electronic plan.
Sure.
Sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Right.
Okay, another motion request, we have a lot of motions. The emotional bit. Approval of a check for $509 to reimburse Ed for expenses related to improvements to the UTV trailer, mounted toolbox, mounted spare tire. Good idea.
Yeah, there was
Don't shucks.
parts to this when I have to pick up the trailer, they gave it to us at the agreed upon price. But then we talked about things that could be needed, and a spare tire was like a good idea. And the idea of having a toolbox to be able to put the straps and stuff into, so we wouldn't lose them at different sites was another idea. So those things came up to $509, and I couldn't write a check for it at that point, so I put it on my credit card.
Alrighty, well, thanks for doing
So folks pay it back.
it. Yeah. Okay, Randy said we should pay it back, I guess we will.
I'll second.
So,
Thanks, Steve. Alrighty, next up, request a motion to approve ordering of an office workstation for Michelle. It sounds exciting. To convert our small meeting room into her office. The proposal from Your Office Connection includes installation, and they are Co-Stars dealer. Oh, so that should give us discounts, right?
Yeah, so yeah, I ran it through purchasing to make sure the price was legitimate from Co-Stars. They were having some problems with those a while back, and they agreed that that was an acceptable price. The reason we're doing it is we have that room that office we set up for Michelle next to the multi-purpose room, but it's.
The freezing,
No, this was in the well, it's freezing too because everything's controlled by upstairs.
Right.
But back to the room that has the, its own heating and air conditioning unit. So yes, you can, and it's a little bit, the other problem with the meeting room we set up is that it's the coffee center, it's the lunchroom, and there's a lot of distractions going on there. So we would, since Michelle is very important to our ENS program and supervising the other two technicians, they felt better that she had a larger room down. And we don't have a need for the meeting room space as much as we did before because of the fact that we're doing a lot of all the pre-application meetings virtually now. So.
Excellent.
I'll make the motion.
Alrighty, thanks, really.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up, another motion. Motion for payment to Edgemont Township for completion of low volume road project. Yes.
Take that motion,
Okay.
Second.
since I live there.
Yes, you did. That's a second. Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Ray did.
They did.
Ray did.
Thank you.
Ray, I did.
Great idea. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, I think this is the last of these motions. Request a motion for payment of previously approved mini grant to North American Land Trust for $500. What about this? Yeah, sure.
You need a motion.
Are we waiting for a motion or should I?
I was gonna say your motion.
Oh, okay, right. I'll second.
Oh, right, now you can tell us.
Okay. So the North American Land Trust, they have it's called the Britton Run Preserve, in Chatsworth Township, and they had a big community event, a big tree planting, and they planted hundreds and hundreds of trees. And they had a ton of volunteers that were interested in helping out, and they had more volunteer interest than they had trees available, so they sought out our mini grant program to supplement the plans for their event, and they are really excited about continuing to apply in the future.
Oh,
So
good.
they completed their event, I think around Earth Day or early May, and submitted their application for reimbursement. So they're learning about our mini grant program, and it's exciting.
They'll be back at the well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we already had the motion requested. All in favor?
Aye.
And they seem to be another land trust organization that's getting involved with developers because another project that come in here, Independence Town down in Bethel. Actually, John Lynch, the developer, is working with them on the open space easement on that parcel too. So they must be getting their feet grounded. I know their office is in Chester County, but they're reaching over into Delaware County as well.
And they're getting that, all that area within their kind of like circle of
Mhm.
concern. Oh, we're all connected with each other. That's probably a good idea.
Excellent. So this is the North American Land Trust, okay. Alrighty, moving on. We're now on old business. Okay, the trailer. Tell us about the trailer. How's it working?
The UTV trailer purchase and also the UTV is all completed. The project's ready to go. We did the last part of it was putting the county graphics on it. So when we're out in the field, we don't have people mistaking it for somebody trespassing. And so it's well marked now, and the trailer even has a county seal on the back of it. And the only thing we haven't done is mounted the trailer, put it on, but we measured it up and it'll fit. It's just that I need to have the experts in it down at the parks, Norm Bennett, to help me do it the first time because it's to make sure we do it right. But
Like
Yeah.
whatever little glitches might happen or whatever.
yeah, I should strap it down correctly. They strap all their stuff down all the time, the lawnmowers that they do.
Right.
And then we'll be ready to go and use it for anything that the Parks Department wants, or the police department, the county police, or us. Will be.
Excellent. And it's nice that you're so willing to share it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, scanning permit files and electronic permit submission.
Yeah, that was just on
That's what we
the
just
thing
talked
that,
about.
yes, I don't think we need to talk about that again.
Okay, the environment.
Very great news. Pencrest had went to the state competition and took first place.
Wow.
Wow.
by a significant amount. So they did very well. So they'll be off to Canada in July to compete in the next event.
Where does it take place in Canada?
I don't know which one this one is. They
They move it around.
did two before to Canada, so this was their third trip. I think it's been run. Don't quote me on
So
it.
this is all North America, right?
And China's involved again this year. They skipped out. They didn't compete last year, but they've been involved for 4 or 5 years now. Yeah. So
Excellent.
they call it international event now. And was helping out the county public relations department, working on an article for their newsletter. And they have won the county event 30 years in a row. They've won the state event of the 30 times that they've been up there. They've won it 16 times. And the national event or the international event, they won it 4 times. And the last time was in 2017. So they have quite the record. The Hall of Fame should be waiting.
Everybody cancels. So, excellent. Well, I'm very proud of it. It's wonderful. I'm glad that I get to do it, but you know. Next up, our moment in the sun here, summer intern.
Yeah, we did do the introduction, but I just wanted to thank the personnel department for working with me to help that get along fast. We got the notice late in the year. We got it approved, and then the budget director, looking at the budget very closely nowadays, found out that we were about $1,200 short, and I know why we're $1,200 short. But I had to work with Francine and Sue DiPompio to the degree that we all have money in our budget to be able to transfer to meet that request. Sometime I'm going to have a meeting with Mr. Hayes. He's the budget director. The only time we've ever got our budget increased is that we've increased our revenue. And his philosophy is the revenue doesn't belong to us. Okay, he's right. The revenue, all the fees for erosion and sediment control go to the county directly. It doesn't even enter into our books. But our clean water fund goes into our account, and that was approved by county council with our fee schedule and our delegation agreement. Our affiliate, our emergency reviews comes into our accounts, and that was approved when we did the affiliate membership program. And the low volume road is restricted. So there's funds available that we can transfer to the county at any time. And so hopefully we can work on an agreement. I think he has something called a 3,200 account that we may be able to use to transfer money into that account and have expenses. But I don't know. But that's the way it's always been done in the past. It's just a new way of looking at things. And we'll have to work that out. And hopefully that's something, I don't know that I put it, yeah, I did put it, I won't talk about it now, and it's under new business.
All right, thanks, well, we're glad to have you. What do you want to say anything? You want to tell us where you come from, or where you got nothing like putting you on.
I'm from Delco. I live in media, but I go to school in California. It's exciting to be home.
Where do you go to school in California?
At UC Berkeley.
Nice. Excellent, well, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm gonna enjoy your summer here. Might be really hot in California. Okay, next up, our agricultural conservation assistance program update by County Road.
Yeah, so like Ed mentioned, we met with Galen, Chriswell, and Dan Meloser this morning to talk about outreach and identifying farmland in Delaware County, starting there, and then reaching out to those farmers to see if they're interested in this funding opportunity. I see I'm on here twice to talk about ACAP, so I'm just going to cover it all in one swoop. We developed policies and a ranking form similar to the low volume road program. And we have those reviewed by the State Conservation Commission and Chester County Conservation District. And they said it all looks fine, nothing out of the ordinary. So I'm just they're not in the agenda, but I'm gonna go over very standard forms, very similar to the low volume road program. I'm just gonna highlight some of the things in here. And then we would need a motion to have those approved. So in our policies and procedures, there's the standard policies that are set forth by the state that we're required to have in there, such as the conflict of interest, the purpose of the program, equal access to funds. And then we are given the flexibility to include our local policies. So one of the things that we have in there describes our cooperation with Chester County Conservation District, which we've had that memorandum of understanding approved before. As far as applications go, we are going to be accepting them on a rolling basis because we're not receiving a ton of money through the program. We don't feel the need to have deadlines. We're just going to take interested applications and as they come in. Okay, I'll go over the ranking form in a second. The policies may be modified or updated as new priorities are established or to meet overall program changes. So as we interact with these farmers, we do have the flexibility to change these policies at any time. The applications will be reviewed by both the Chester County Conservation District and the Delaware County Conservation District. And then the ranking and the final ranking and scores, the grant applications, and our recommendation will be presented to the board for their final approval of awards. We will pay, so we would cover 100% of the project costs. However, we talked about the difference between the total project cost that comes in because an applicant may submit for $100,000 and the total project cost ends up being $150,000. So we talked today about awarding 100% of the contract amount and paying that full contract amount unless a request for an amendment is submitted, similar
And approved, yeah.
and approved, similar to our low volume road program. So if expenses come in above the grant contract amount, we wouldn't just automatically pay that. We would need an amendment to be made. And that's dependent on how many available funds that we have.
And the only thing that I heard a little different, and I would assume, Elaine, that you would want us, if it was over 25,000, to go through county council, sort of like we do with low volume road.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a grant, a project being funded for over 25. I thought it was 25, but it could be 29, yeah.
To bring to county councils.
With any contract over 25 or 20, whatever it is, needs to be approved.
Okay.
We're going to have Chester County handling the bids, stuff, on the project. It's,
That'd be good to make that of it, yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're doing it already on theirs. They already have most of their 5 million allocated. They had a pent up demand, huh?
I don't think we'll have much problem spending $300,000.
Well,
No,
but the people in Delaware County trust the government, yeah.
Yeah, right. So, do we want to approve the policies separate from the ranking form or all together?
let's do it separately, just in case there's some kind of.
Okay. So with that inclusion of county council and the contract awarding up to the contract amount, or I'm sorry, issuing reimbursement for the contract amount unless an amendment is made, we would need a motion for those policies.
Okay.
I'll move. Okay, is there a reporting requirement?
We were talking about that today. I think the state is coming up with a reporting system similar to what they have for low volume roads. It also may be through Practice Keeper, which is where we're entering growing greener projects. So it may
Yeah,
all.
state is leaning towards doing we're working with Penn State to develop a GIS online system for tracking this program and reimbursements like low volume road. So I think that's what it's going to be. However, everybody else is fighting to get it in Practice Keeper because that's being required by the Chesapeake Bay. No, Try to be consistent and stable. So hopefully it'll be a thing where the whatever system they develop at the for the ACAP program with Penn State, will be able to dump the information over in practice. So,
So you might want to add that in the agreement that they would be required to report as required by the state.
I think we would be required to report.
Oh, then.
yeah, but that's going to be done by Chester County.
Oh, right, okay.
Was there a second for this one?
I'll second.
Yeah, so we'll have to give them access to our county keeper. And we have not been very successful in working with Practice Keeper. But Chester County, who was one of the beta testers for Practice, they have a really good connection. So it'll be easier to work through them on this.
Somebody will guide you in some way.
Mhm.
We're getting there with Practice Keeper.
Alrighty, thanks, Karen. And now we'll do the second half.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is the grant evaluation form, similar to low volume roads. When we receive applications, we'll look at these parameters.
Sorry, I'll mute it.
So we'll score each project according to how they match up on the ranking form. So I'm just gonna read through it. I'm not gonna read all the options, but I'll give a summary. So if applicable, which of the following plans does the operation already have? And that includes the conservation plan, ENS plan, manure management plan, or nutrient management plan. Will the proposed project reduce stormwater runoff or loss of sediment, nutrients, phosphorus, and or other pollutants? 3, do the animal concentration areas on this operation have BMPs already implemented or that will be implemented to abate stormwater runoff, loss of sediment, nutrients, and other pollutants? What is the proximity to surface waters, public drinking water, or karstgeology? Has the applicant completed design, survey, inventory, and evaluation, or none of the above? Does the applicant indicate in their application that the BMPs will be installed to design and construction standards approved by the commission? That's a requirement, I believe, of the state. So if the answer is no, then chances are they. And then is the affected tributary in a stormwater or agriculture impaired watershed? Those are our.
Okay, alrighty.
We need a motion for that as well.
Okay, we need a motion for that one.
Motion to adopt that.
A second.
So can they apply, can applicants apply for design or only the?
I believe they can. Ed, do you know?
Yes, there's a certain percentage that would go into design work, and that Chester County would be providing that design work. They could also use a private contractor as well. And there's a certain, I think it's 14% of the a grant amount can be used for design.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ready? Okay. Again.
Thank you. Am I up again?
Unless you want.
Okay. Oh, this is.
1093.
Very quick update. I did summarize a little bit about Keystone 10 Million Trees. So we participated in this program in a different kind of capacity as a distribution site for an organization in Altoona who places orders for people throughout the whole state. So we were kind of a hub in Southeast Pennsylvania for people to come pick up their trees that they ordered through Keystone 10 Million. It went well. There were definitely some things that needed to be ironed out. For example, I felt like I was on call for deliveries to come in, and then for people who were picking up their trees to contact me and tell me they were coming. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Exactly. Like, oh, I'm not here.
Exactly.
Quick update, I'm working with Megan from the Master Watershed Steward Program to make it work more smoothly for us and for our groups in Delaware County. So our larger organizations won't have to go through that middleman in Altoona and can work directly with us. And I'll have more direct contact with the growers. And we're going to work with volunteers and have them sort things into different orders. So it may be a little bit more work, but I think it'll be more efficient. So that's
Trees.
native trees, all different kinds. Since we're in a lower priority area for the program, the Keystone 10 Million program starts out with a list of species that are available. And as they give priority orders to priority 1, 2, 3, and then we're 4, those numbers of species dwindles. So once those species are made available, whatever's left to our region, it's still not even guaranteed that those will be available. So if you place an order for 25 sugar maple, you may only get 10, or you may get none, or they may substitute with something else.
Can't get 5,000 Frasers.
I'm seeing it. I'm casual on this.
I'm gonna say no.
Christmas tree.
That's right.
Yeah.
We put 400 trees in this year. I wasn't gonna plant because we planted almost 4,000 last year. And the guy I get the trees from, he goes, would you have a crystal ball? I said, what's all that about? He says he planted 2,000, 3,000 trees and he's out watering them. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there's just no rain.
Oh, wow.
So it's taking him like a week to do the whole field.
Then he has to turn around and go back again.
It's gonna rain next week.
No erosion, there's no erosion.
Just dust.
Yeah.
So this is excellent.
Yeah, so that's in the works for fall.
But thank you for your help with our,
Oh, you're
I think,
some of your steaks and too.
yes. Well, apparently they didn't need them. Somebody volunteered to actually plant them. So
Okay.
excellent. So, and the willows, that's when they planted them, which is a lot, there's a big strip. The Darby goes through there. so
Yeah.
it's involved.
Yeah, good. I'm glad they found a home.
Yes, me too. I was thinking, oh my God, are you okay for these trees? It's wonderful. Okay. Alrighty, that's excellent. Now, are we ready to move on to new business? Okay. Next up, investing our reserve funds in Pliget, which sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah, part of my transition for the district to retirement, I contacted Jim Hackett to ask if he would look over our banking procedures and see if it's consistent with the county policies. And we had a very good discussion on the way we do things, and he had no problem with anything that we currently have done. He did suggest that maybe we look into Pliget, which is what the county does for our surplus funds. Because now you can put it in this account, which your principal is not 100% guaranteed from what I understand, but it's a safe investment that's allowed to be invested by local municipal governments. It's an account set up for local governments to invest in. And right now, they're paying up to 4.89% on their
Yeah, that sounds cool.
class. Yeah. So if we could put away some money and be a better fiduciary responsibility to us to be able to do that. Some of the money we have set in the reserves, and it doesn't restrict it from, there's no penalty for taking it out either. So there's,
Great,
I
right.
don't know why we wouldn't want to do this, but we want to, if the board is in favor of looking into it, then I will contact Pliget and talk to them. I know that conservation districts are eligible. It's just the idea of signing up and seeing how we would do it and how we would transfer funds through wire transfers to our existing bank, I guess. We could probably put in, close to $500,000.
Right, exactly. Okay, so
And it's a safe investment.
As best I read it, it doesn't say your principal guarantee, but they only invest in bonds and stuff. So I guess if the government collapsed, yeah, we'd be thinking. But if as long as the federal government is intact, then we're okay. So
everyone's on.
County has all of our ARPA money and that. It's federal government allows us to put our ARPA money in that, so.
okay, yeah, that's what Jim was saying. So
That would work for like the township rainy day funds.
Yeah, but school, just call the school districts, it's like, most municipal governments use it.
yeah, they even had other ones that are higher, but they're every level you go up, they invest in different, more riskier
Yeah,
things.
right,
And
exactly.
that's so the
That's
base
the way it
level.
works with the states.
And that's 4.89 is better than any CD. you can get.
Exactly, excellent.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to have Ed look into investing the reserve funds in Pliget.
Excellent.
Second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sounds good to me, Jim. Excellent. Thanks, Ed. Next up, memorandum of understanding with county council.
Yeah, this is another thing that's on my radar for, my transition into retirement, because I know what Woods has been agreeing to over the last 40 years, but I'm not sure that anybody else does.
Right, exactly.
And I think it just be set down, with the powers that be to go over what we're doing. And a lot of districts are having problems with things like liability insurance, because I guess there's been some changes. I was always told that our board is covered by the liability protection, because we are appointed by county council, you are appointed by county council. But that would be nice just to have verified now.
Yes.
Under things. And there's lots of things, just little things like that. I know it's never been a priority, with the solicitor, because they don't want to have agreements, but I think it would help a new person coming in. They would be able to know what's covered and what's not, and what they have to look into and what they haven't. So I would like to see if, and then Lane would think that would be something we could work together on over the next few months to try to iron something out. So
Yeah.
it could be as comprehensive or as minuscule as that we need to do, just so we have some type of base, that the person coming in will know, what things are covered and how the board is addressed
Right.
and how they were insured.
When does the current MOU expire?
We never had one. We looked at that and I sent it in. I sent it in, well, not before your administration, but the previous administration. The solicitor at the time held it for 6 months and then goes, we don't need this. And then this time, Mr. Martin, Bill Martin, he had it and he just was tied up with the prison and stuff at that time, and it wasn't a priority, so he couldn't put any time into it. So hopefully some of those things in the health department's underway, that we'll be able to have some time to be able to look at it.
July, will you send me the most recent?
Yeah. Mhm. In the draft form, yeah.
We don't keep voting on this or anything, do we? Yeah. We all-
No, we don't, that was just a suggestion, some of the things, but I've been trying to work with. Eventually I'll have a meeting with Francine to go over if we've had to cancel a couple meetings. You think time's a lot of time, but it moves pretty fast all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Now we're in June. Yeah.
So that sounds interesting. I do remember when we tried to do this before. The MOU with the county.
Yeah.
It was made there, it was on the agenda forever.
Yeah, and then the solicitor just told me that.
Excellent. Okay, well, now we're moving forward.
Yeah.
All righty, the agricultural conservation assistance program.
Yeah, that's what Karen combined.
This is where the combination, I was like, why do the two pretty, isn't it? Excellent, thanks. Oh, I'm already did. And Park and Recreation's Urban Forestry Grant.
Yeah, so Elaine mentioned this earlier. The Parks Department applied for, it was 2.9, I think it was like 500 some thousand per year over 5 years. So that would make sense up to 2.9 million. And I just wanted to mention that the Conservation District wrote a letter committing to be a partner. We didn't commit time or money, but we said that we would agree to being a committed partner for technical assistance and connecting to different stakeholders in the community. And I know Ann was talking, Ann Stopper at the Parks Department was talking about Upland Park and Little Flowers specifically. I don't know if that would reach to other parks in those.
They have to be in the Justice Board.
Okay, so I don't know if Kent Park would be there. But
Those definitely are. I don't know.
she didn't mention Kent Park.
She did.
Yeah, did not.
I mentioned it to her, she added it, she said it was, so.
That's the one area to CDBG.
In a meeting with Ann Tool, and that talked about that, a little bit, things that could be done. And trying to get into I like the idea because it's not just planting trees, it's also control of invasive species, which desperately needs to be done on
Right.
some of the Darby Creek Trail and stuff, so.
Right.
It would be great to have a team of they're incorporating into it job creation by having training people to do this type of work. So it's sort of a job promotion, training program as well. It's very interesting, and to have a team of people to do that, dedicated to that within the Parks Department would be an excellent asset to work with.
Alrighty, so this sounds very, very good to me. Alrighty, we don't need any action with this, but that's good. So there's two parks, you say, Little Flower and what's the other one?
Upland Park.
Upland. Oh,
And it sounds like maybe they incorporated Kent Park as well into the application.
excellent. Okay, thanks. Alrighty. Next up, Beth is not here. Did she send you a report or anything?
No, she did not.
Yeah, I'll be quick here. I believe the talking points are in the packet.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, there are several delegations and agreements that I would like to point out and mention deadlines and the talking points. On page 1, the Conservation District Watershed Specialist Grant Program application opened on May 18th. The Watershed Specialist Grant maximum has been increased from 5,000 to 50,000, so that's a big increase.
From 45,250 to whatever that is.
So it went up 5,000.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, yep. And that application needs to be completed before June 30th. If you have any questions, reach out to Shane. And then the Conservation District Fund Allocation Program, CDFAP, application for funding, request form is now active on Greenport. Please complete this form using the current salary and benefit data for the July 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023 time period, and the anticipated salary and benefit data for January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024. No later than June 15th, so that's coming up, and that is the CDFAP provides funding for the manager and ES technician and ag tech, which you guys don't have. Okay, then on page 2, I mentioned this last month, but the 2023 Grown Greener Plus grant and the Section 319 non-point source management grant rounds closed on June 23rd. And there is an ag tech application coming soon. I guess that doesn't fit you guys either, right? On page 3. And I'm gonna reach out to someone too, because I'm not sure how this will work, because there's an agriculture compliance implementation poll coming soon, and our duty is to reach out to you, Ed, or anyone involved with ag, but since you guys work with Chester, I don't know if I would.
Chester County, just say that ACT program,
Yeah,
we get 3,000.
oh, you do? Okay.
Go to
Okay,
Chester.
that's good.
3,750, I think they increased it last year.
Okay, then look out for that application.
Okay.
Let me actually write that down. I have that, you guys don't. Okay. So then I will be reaching out to you, and do you deal a lot with ag, Karen? Is that you kind of?
Both of us.
Okay, okay, so I'll be reaching out to you guys
Okay.
in the future. And then for ACAP on page 3, I just wanted to point out the quick points to read. There's more that were added from last month. And then on page 4, I did want to mention, there's an Ag 101 Introduction to Agriculture. There's a lot of ag stuff in this talking points this month. But I actually took this course. It took me a couple days because I didn't do it the whole day, but it was very interesting. It's for people with little or no experience with agriculture, and you just learn the basics of farms and farming, including crops, livestock, and natural resources. I found it really helpful, so I just wanted to point that out. And then on page 5, there's just some Clean Water Academy classes to look at. And then page 6, I wanted to point out the Leadership Development Spring Webinar Series. There's one actually tomorrow at noon. This is really a great series for anyone that wants a refresher or basically our rules and regulations and such. And then I also wanted to, just mention that a roundtable in person takes place on June 28th. I hope to see you guys all there. And if you guys have any topics, let me know that you want to discuss.
If we have any potluck.
Yes, yes, that's the most important thing. Like, what do you guys want? Then that is all for me today.
So thank you, Jen.
Yep.
Alrighty, next up. Edit concerns.
Okay, you have a copy of my report, and I won't go over a lot because a lot of it was in the agenda. But I just wanted to point your attention to the fact that we concentrated a lot on trying to meet with our erosion and sediment control plan reviews, and I did 33 of them last month. And that didn't make it then. So we still have 19 plans that are pending review. The staff has 16 plans in the various forms on the administrative completeness reviews. And we had 3 that are overdue, but by a couple of days here. So I'll be working on those. Some of the big projects we had, we worked on the soccer stadium project, trying to get that done. And no sooner do we get everything done on an expedited fashion at the request of the regional office of DEP, then they got their approval and now they want to change their plan. So they want to change the way they're doing their plan right now. So I have that on my desk again. We're trying to finish up the tunnel, even though the tunnel sounds like it's a Delaware tunnel to take sewage across the front of the county down by the river on 291. That was a big priority, but I think that they've come into some negotiations with Philadelphia on the cost of sewage going into Philadelphia. So even though they're not dropping the project, they may be scaling it back or not, or going ahead. So I guess it's still a bargaining chip in the negotiation. But we don't know. We still have some outstanding issues with the regional office. They weren't getting approval this time through any house. So those are a couple of the big ones. I'll bring it up now because I know that one of the complaints that we were working on is 10th and Penn. And it was a big article in the Daily Times about it being whether or not it was a racial issue. We're not involved in.
The Darby,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Darby 10th. What is it?
934 Main Street.
Yeah. So we had that in, and we've gotten lots of complaints in about that site. When Michelle went out to look at that site, it was being done with no erosion control, and there was a big stockpile. And we had a difficulty trying to figure out who was who on the site because the names didn't seem to make sense or anything we've dealt with in the past. We finally did reach to the Darby Borough and talk to them, Darby Borough and talk to them. And we also talked to a representative at the site and got things squared away. We got a small 8.5 by 11 copy of the plan, but we are asked that we still wasn't progressing fast enough and things were still moving. They actually started excavating I don't know whether they for the tanks or for the building foundation. So we worked with DEP and DEP and Linda Mackey came down and issued a field order to stop work. This was also because they were taking the fill material that they were on this site and taking it over into Philadelphia and dumping it near the stream on the other side of the stream. And Philadelphia Water Department issued a field order to shut them down over there too. Does it need a NPDS construction permit? We don't know because it's a 1.7 acre site. But no, there's not 1 acre disturbed now, but that's not the way we interpret the law. The law is if it's 1 acre of disturbance over the life of the project. So we don't know that because we don't know what the project is completely yet. So we're trying to get that taken care of. I think they've hired a different engineer and Damon, I believe, and Damon will be looking, going to be submitting the permit or telling us, let us know why they don't need the permit. In the meantime, we're getting other complaints unrelated to what we normally deal with about whether the things are being done according to Hoyle. I always say that phrase, but legally and whether the person involved was involved in a drug laundering scheme. I don't know anything about that. So I forwarded it up to Francine and she referred it to the DA's office. Someone from the CID contacted me today and I could not give them the name of the complaint because it's privileged information. So I have talked with him and agreed to, I forwarded an email to the complaint and let them know that they were free to contact this person at CID if he had any, information that he would like to share with CID on that. So those are the things that we have in place. Yeah, that we don't think we've gotten a message from Paula Brown, who was quoted in the article, a few things, but that's not where, that's not where our complaints are coming from. We're getting other complaints from other side.
There's, oh, That's your
Community
character.
services, source correction.
Emergency.
Oh, and
Well, sorry that you've had to deal with that.
yeah. But I did send it up to Francine, just so you would know, because they were applying for some other grant.
They came to us and asked for $500,000 ARPA money.
For gas electric stations, so electric charging stations. So.
We asked.
So it's an interesting story, but I can rest assured that Michelle and myself have not been involved and didn't even know who was the owner, so we were just doing our job normally.
And
And,
I'm supposed to, right, and staying out of the fray.
Right. Yeah, and so hopefully we'll get through this and get the site, whatever Darby Borough decides to do with the site is up to them. They're the ones in charge of land use. And we'll figure out how they can do it within the guides of the state permits. So
What do you do with your intention?
what's in the paper, it said is they're trying to build a gas station that would also do some other community things like sell fresh vegetables and fruit and have like a farmer's type market and some other historical things, but, and they said that they would be actually improving, it's in the, is it in the floodplain?
Part of the site's in the floodplain. There might be a little snippet, it's hard to tell, in the floodway. And then the other half is completely outside of.
Near Cobb Street.
Darby Creek, yep, right, it spans between McDade Boulevard and Main Street. Across from the Darby Town Center.
And the other thing is that it's kind of confusing because it was owned by the William Penn School District. And they had it for bus parking as a 2011, I can see the buses there. I remember reviewing that plan when they built that. But then they built another thing and they said it was to get rid of the buses out of the floodplain. Well, where they moved to was in the floodplain.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was up near Cobb Street, because they have one there.
Yeah, so why they moved out of there, why the buses aren't still parked there, I don't know, and why it was set vacant for a long period of time, I don't know, other than the fact that I believe that the building that was there was a building in front of it that was demolished as part of the cleanup from the hurricane damage, and when they took out all the houses, they took out these buildings that were being flooded every time it rained down there.
And contaminants there, just.
And I don't know, contaminants have not been brought up,
Mentioned, okay.
and no one, DEP had brought that up either, so.
And my understanding is that the planning commission did not recommend approval of the plan.
Okay.
To Darby, so,
But they wouldn't have anything.
well, yeah, they don't need planning commission approval.
Yeah, they don't even have Darby Borough approval, from what I understand. They had that demolition permit,
Oh,
and this is gone beyond demolition, so it's kind of confusing why things are progressing the way they are.
jumping the gun, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, sounds like fun.
Yeah, so hopefully, I asked the CID to keep us abreast of anything he finds out, or find anything that we should be aware of, because certainly want our staff not to walk into something that they're not trained to deal with.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but, so that's what we will try to do, our best.
Hard to do.
But I brought that up out of the thing, but, so that's all I have on my report.
Glad you mentioned it, now we'll be able to go. It's 50 days. Okay, show.
All right, just, yeah, our field inspections significantly increased in the month of May due to complaints and such. And then I just wanted to bring up our poster contest entry deadline closed last Friday. So just like last year, I will send out a link, a Google link. So if everyone could, take a look and just email me with your selections. There is a even less than last year for entries, so I don't know why, but we do have some, so I'll be working on that later this week, so.
She can out there and beat the bushes. Kids love to draw.
I know.
It's so weird.
Yeah, the only thing, I mean, there are a few other contests. I know you sent me one, Ed, happening around this time, similar, but
Okay.
if that's the case. So-
I love looking at.
Okay.
Fun.
Yeah, so hopefully later this week, I'm seeing the bell.
Excellent.
But so thank you in advance. And that's all that I wanted to highlight.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next up is Ari.
Well, first of all, I noticed, I'm sorry, I didn't notice this until now, but, looks like April's report was,
yeah.
sent out or added. There were, I mean, things definitely got a little busier, more inspections, a lot of reviews. The thing I want to highlight the most was for the 10th and, it's called the proposed industrial redevelopment. It's the site out in Marcushook at East 10th Street. We had two meetings. First was a meeting with DEP and our office, discussing this meeting with eventually the permittee, about their involvement with Act Two, due to the new, contaminated, PCBs that were discovered. Yeah, discovered on the site. We just wanted to kind of get an internal meeting to figure out what, how to approach, Prologis when they, converse with us. And, Prologis is just trying to figure out, since the Act Two program is a voluntary program, I think they're trying to figure out whether to enact and go forward with involving themselves in the Act Two program. So that's really between DEP and Prologis to figure out. But we were there just because we have extensive experience with this site,
Yes.
and the discovery of the PCBs. That's really the only note I wanted to highlight. I would say if there's any questions, you can ask me, but
Yeah, my assessment of the meetings is that now I understand why I couldn't get much cooperation out of the regional office in dealing with the Act Two and the cleanup issues, because they're so far behind right now. They've received some of the information, and I guess it's volumes of information on this contamination issue. So they're just not got through everything. And so this meeting was sort of like catch-up meeting, and it was very helpful to us to know what was going on and what they found. We still don't authorize any discharge from the sediment basins to the creek directly. All the water that gets treated going into flock tanks and then gets pumped to Delcora. It's problematic because they only got a permit to discharge 25,000 gallons a day. And I think the basin discharge requirements are greater than that. So we're trying to rectify that. And the only reason that they have a problem with they did testing, and the testing had one high level of something in it that the next time it didn't, but now they have to wait for a third test. I'm concerned that they eluded the problem, because what they did is when they pumped from one basin to the second basin and the second basin to the third basin, and all that water is being combined, and then they pump from one into Delcora. So the first time they tested just from the one basin they wanted to pump. But they're looking into that as well, so we will know in short order, I hope. But in the meantime, it is good, because this has been historically been there for a long time. It's been a problem with a lot of contamination. It was known contamination. Some of it's already been cleaned up and removed. These tunnels were under the ground, and the vats with the PCBs were in it. They knew it was there, but it was too costly to dig up. So now that they found it, that's good. So no off-site discharge has been claimed by anyone. So that's a good thing. So hopefully we'll end up having a good cleanup site. Now, why Prologis and the Duke decided to not follow their erosion control plan, that's another matter. But I think they've been very cooperative since we got their attention. Yeah. But that's good. That's good.
That it for you, Lenny?
that was the biggest, key item that I wanted to discuss today. Everything else has been
I'm always,
business as usual.
always wondering about it. You know?
Yeah.
Next up, Karen. Corbin.
I guess the most interesting thing I did, I went to Harrisburg for a week to do the chapter 102 technical training.
Oh, nice.
So I met a lot of people from DEP and other district technicians.
Okay.
It was really
Right, good.
Then she came back and started finding more things wrong with our administrative. Yeah,
Already sent her, right?
so that's, which was good. So that,
Excellent, very
that's the
good.
basic course is done now for third.
And it was fun to hang out in Harrisburg. Oh, good. Excellent. Harrisburg, I think, was fun. That is Sean Carmen, are you sure?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm trying to bring papers. If that thing over the fingers don't have the moisture in it, it's supposed to have. There. Next up, now.
So I went over, actually what I wanted to highlight on my report earlier with ACAP and Keystone 10 million. And everything else I talked about. I did just want to mention that we received 3 low volume road grant applications on June 1st. 4 applications from 3 municipalities. So Thornberry submitted 2 grant applications for 2 different sites. And then Edgemont Township and Newtown Township both submitted. I haven't had a chance to add up the numbers or look too closely at them, but 3 of the sites I haven't been to yet, so I have those scheduled this month to go and look at. If they're ready to go, hopefully in July, we'll be able to make a decision. If they need some work, it may be August by the time we, although I think our next board meeting is later in July. So hopefully by then,
But
they'll be good to go.
not 80,000. We have how much available?
We have 168,000 available because Concord Township said that they wouldn't be able to do their project, so they are gonna cancel the contract, and that's bringing us.
The money rolls over.
It rolls over until the deadline of next June, and then we could lose it if we don't spend it down. So-
Yes. So I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know exactly how much we're required to spend by June of next year. But it's a lot. But I think we can do.
Terrible problem to have to spend.
Uh, We're good, we'll figure that out.
exactly.
It is difficult with the low volume, but one of the good things that we did have is that they have agreed after our program evaluation to do a 1-day training, and we haven't had that date scheduled for Delaware County, in Delaware County, so they could get more municipalities qualified.
Right.
So that has been approved. When it's scheduled, I don't know, but we'll work.
The one in Noma, one in Melbourne, right?
Oh,
That's all done, right?
it is. They did a great job. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
What is the traffic count you have to be under?
500.
500. That's a lot.
Yeah. Especially here.
Wow.
And one of the comments they kept making during their visit was, we would like to see more projects that address direct stream connectivity, but finding low volume roads and direct impacts on streams. It's a
It's tough to
challenge,
do,
especially when you have limited people eligible.
The other problem is that they've come up with a new procedure for stream crossings. So it used to be able just to go in and change the culvert around, make it bigger, maybe. Can't do that anymore. Now they want to do everything with open bottom, and the stream has to be able to the culvert has to be almost like a bridge, open bottom culvert. And the design work that goes into them and the cost of doing the projects. Municipalities aren't likely to do it, only because replacing the culvert is so much cheaper.
Right.
Even if we gave them half the money, that still wouldn't be
Right,
enough.
that's still,
But- So the stream crossings we had one almost come in.
We had one come in, but they didn't know that the stream crossing was as intense as it is. So that's one of the sites that we have to go look at and look.
And that's like only a 40-acre drainage area too, so it's not a big culvert, but it's got a lot more than what the bridge, the open bottom arch culvert would be a lot more expensive.
so
Over engineering somewhere.
Well, I think it's good. Cause most of the time, a lot of the problem we have with driveway culverts and culverts is the fact that it backs water up on the other side and it serves as a fire hose and causes erosion down below. So I understand the premise of why they want to do it. I think eventually the whole state is going to adopt this when they realize the 105 guideline. So then, once that does happen, then they won't have the option to put culverts in. So then they won't be able to get away with just doing it the other way. So
Right.
I think that's the way they're trying to go. Whether that gets their approval or not, I don't know. So it is valuable. It's just a big shock to people, sticker shock. What it costs to do it right.
Especially if you're the first ones to have that down in your. Rolling in the coal.
Yeah.
There's a big time commitment from the district and municipality to get the survey done. The rest of
Anything else?
That's all I wanted to highlight.
Okay, well, thank you. That being the case, I think we're ready to discuss our next meeting. That will be July 25th.
And I want to apologize in advance, even though I've been here a few years. I've never missed a meeting. But I'll have to miss this one. I've been working, trying to get colonoscopy done. And that is the date that they're going to do it. And if I didn't do that, I'd have to wait till November. So it's unbelievable how long it takes to schedule those
It's
things.
a second job, you know, you finish this regular job and like this, your mind.
I said the job is scheduling colonoscopies. He's busier than ever. I mean, he's always like wheeling things around because everybody wants one or needs one. And he's
Nobody wants.
And then I thought it was a funny thing for him to say how popular he is.
Yeah, it was, I didn't believe it. I mean, in January, I started the process and then that this long to time to get somebody scheduled.
Good, later.
Well, we're gonna have to learn how to function without you.
It's gonna be the July 25th, so it's a weird meeting anyhow, so.
I'm gonna train a new person.
Behave.
It'd be hard to find someone.
Right, exactly.
I'll have to figure out a way. Well, yeah, a few months left to try to figure this out.
Second reading of the residency requirement for this conservation district is on the agenda tomorrow.
Oh, good.
So we'll take it, the vote will be tomorrow.
You
For this department.
Excellent, very good.
didn't need me there?
No.
Okay.
You know, we can put you there, unless we talk about it, but.
Appreciate Lane's help with that.
Well, exactly. We'll miss you next month, but don't worry, you're not escaping yet. And I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
All right.
I'll say.
Okay, thank you, Steve. All in favor?
I
Thanks for coming, everybody. Always good.
And good luck to you.
Really. You might be just going for the money.
Yeah, it's a small site.
Okay, I was gonna say, is there anything I need to know beforehand?
So it's gonna be very small.
Work.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, it's so bad.
Yeah.